carting to the store will be done in this truck, either as is or with the semi trailer if I have to go down to the main store. And it has lots of lights on the front. And done those off. And the dash all works as well, which is nice. Okay, hard lock. Not sure I can make that turn. No. So this is going to be about 5 runs with the soybeans. Problem is, I am not planning to do soybeans on this farm again. Because it doesn't germinate until early summer, and I am risking very wet fall weather when it comes to harvesting. That may not be a good thing for us. I harvested them right at the end of autumn, but the best selling price for soybeans is either late summer, last day of late summer, or first day of early spring. So if we want to get the best price for it, we've got to store it until then. The wheat and the barley and the canola, they're all early winter best price, I believe. And so, yeah, even if we're pulling those in either late summer or early fall, we only have to hold on to them for a little while before we can sell them at best price. But soybeans, not so much. The best time to sell is half a year from when you harvested them. Same with wool. Wool sells the best on early spring, and we'll be doing that next. But it stops being produced at the end of summer. So we have to hold on to that for an entirety, half a year before we can sell it. And empty the soybeans. So, cool truck. I have got a couple of man trucks that are dedicated tippers, which I was considering using. I don't like single-use vehicles though. I much prefer this system where I can drop the skip off the back and attach something else there, or haul a semi-trailer. Either way doesn't matter, but it makes the vehicle far more flexible. Otherwise you've got to have a truck for moving milk, a truck for moving bales, a truck for moving, and your costs rapidly mount up. But having a truck means I can ship stuff to market. This trip doesn't take long at all. Joe Topolowski, welcome to the stream and happy Saturday. How are you doing today? Oh, let's try not to overcook it. So we'll be ploughing that later too. So I think my plan is I'm going to cultivate the two very bright green fields you can see on this side. This one will be ploughed. And then we're going to need to buy a slurry tank, or a tanker for the slurry, and a slurry spreader, so we can bring the slurry from the BGA and then dump it on the fields once they've been ploughed. Okay, bus stop. Turn left. That's the thing, that road has bus stops at every side road, so you kind of have to pay attention where you are, but they're a good marker for seeing where your turns are. So that's 2 trips, we're already up to 80,000. Could phone up the bank manager and say, hey, that debt. Bye bye. Gone. Okay, so we are now debt free. And that includes buying the skip on the back. Now we're making, what, 29,000, so just shy of 30,000, so we've still got 90,000 more income on its way. I've got a lot of seed. I don't know how I'm sitting with fertilizer though, for when we get down to planting the fields. Oh, yeah, just drive over that car. But then once once we've planted everything, and potentially, I don't think I'm going to need to fertilise any of these fields again. We are going to need some herbicide, which means we're going to be putting the narrows on the Valtra again and setting that up for spraying. I don't have to worry about the weeds until much later in the year. However, because there's weeds on the grass fields, we're going to be putting herbicide down on those before too much longer, because they've got to be ready to harvest or cut towards the end of spring, early summer. Okay, here we are again. Squeak. Buttons. There we go. I think I missed the buttons. Yeah. There we go. It's a problem. I can't see what's going on. The mirrors are much further over to the left. Okay. So yeah, 29,000. We'll be able to grab 4 full bales of hay, wool, and sell those. So I may do that with the Fendt, since I don't really need the Challenger to haul. If I was hauling grain, I'd probably put the Challenger on it, since it's the easiest tractor to get out, or the easiest heavy tractor to get out. Over the course of this year, I'll probably move it back behind the class, so that they share the load. Ploughing, I can do ploughing, cultivating at the same time, because I've got 2 heavy tractors. I could possibly get one of those set up right now. For the most part, I have all the equipment I need for right now. We got kind of small, mid-sized harvester, which is adequate. I don't need a huge harvester right this minute. Obviously, as time goes by, it would be handy to have one because if we're buying more fields, that makes for more work, and time is limited. So as you get more fields, and on Lawfolds we had 50% of the map owned, and I was getting to the point where my really large harvester was going to need some help. In year 7 had we gone that far. So I envisage getting to the point where we might need a second harvester. We might get a bigger one. We might get one that's approximately the same size. I am considering getting rid of the Lindtrak in spite of its 4-wheel steer. It's just a trouble. But we could mount some pallet forks on the fent permanently, and we could mount a bale spike on the Lindner. But for collecting bales, I might do better with sort of a mid-sized tractor that can haul a weight of bales on the Johnston trailer that we have. Because I'm trying to avoid using the Lindner as anything other than a yard tractor. And then swap it for a small skid steer that we can do sheep stuff with. And then the other question is do I want to buy some cows? They're going to be costly this first year. I mean, they'll produce manure, but that's all. And then next year there'll be milk income. And it looks like milk is quite profitable nowadays. But I don't have any equipment to deal with cows right now. So it would be feeding hay and straw. I don't even have a straw shredder, bale shredder for the straw either. Squeak! Yeah, brakes on this truck are a little bit shabby. So that should put us up to about 60, 64. And then we're going to have one more full load and a partial. And I may just connect the Johnston trailer onto the back of this and load the bales, the wool bales on the back, haul the wool bales in with this thing. Okay, let's get some field work underway. And I'm not waiting for you all the way down here. Take a break from karting. Ooh, ouch. And straight through the private farm road sign. Okay, so we are back. So I'm going to stick this under here. We'll go and get the big tractors out and get them started doing things. I'll turn the engine off, jump out. Okay, so we have the plough, we have the big ass cultivator, so we'll do that thing. I think I'll put the plough on the Challenger since the Challenger actually needs a service. It should, I mean, it's not dire straits needs a service, but it is needs a service. Welcome to Challenger. Let's go. Then we'll come back and we'll put the class on the cultivator and then get that out to one of the fields as well. Alrighty. So that's our big plough. Now, if we were running anything smaller, if I was playing on Little Norton or the Old Stream Farm or something like that, I would usually go for a subsoiler because they are much smaller, easier to maneuver. But we have some big agricultural fields with very little in the way of impediment. And these ploughs, you can plough, I think, at about 9 miles an hour. The subsoiler is only 7. So I can get a lot of fields done very quickly. Plus it's a plough. It's a proper plough. Now you only need to plough once ever unless you plant root crops, corn, or sugar cane, I think. I do plan on planting some root crops this year. So we will be ploughing every year from now onwards. This field, when I bought it, was in a ploughed state, but sadly was not or was also registering as needs to be ploughed, so I couldn't put a worker on this field. Is that unfolded? I guess that's unfolded. We can turn that off. We can pull forwards, and we can say helper G has completed their task. No, helper G hasn't even started their task. There we go. Okay. So whoever helper is in there now is now going to plough this field. And that will move the needs to be ploughed state from it. Ooh. Oh yes, of course. It's going to say it has a layer, at least one level of fertilization, because oilseed radish counts as fertilizer. There are 2 patches I can see where they failed to germinate last fall. So we're going to miss a tiny little bit of fertilization in those 2 patches, but no big deal. Let's jump back to, oh, that will do. We'll jump back to the Fent and then we'll get in the class. And class had a bit of a service last fall before we put it away. So this is not the class DLC 940. This is one by Smetty of CMT Software. We used his class tractors during Lawfolds for Farm Sim 17, and as part of that I decided I was going to use at least one of his tractors on this playthrough as well. And since his tractors come in multicolours and the class DLC doesn't, here we are with a black class 940. So I'm going to take this up to the top and we will start this. Now, problem is, I think I'm going to want to do this edge. So, how's this work? There we go. Stop. Yeah, that's a bit close. Zoom out. Now the issue here is there is nothing to block us moving into that grass field. What I do not want to happen is for us to end up with the worker cultivating that any part of that grass field. So in order to prevent that from happening, I need to create a cultivated barrier that the worker is just going to say, well, it's already cultivated, I'm not going to go there. Same problem with sowing. It will pass through this hedge at one point. I think around about straight in front of us. It just drives through the hedge and goes full bore into the grass field. And that's not a good thing. Actually, I'm not sure I owe Highways a new sign, because that sign is private farm road. So it's probably my sign that says private farm road. Do not come up here unless you're the postman delivering nice stuff to me. Now this cultivator is kind of small, but the problem with a proper cultivator is it does require a lot of horsepower. These two big tractors we're using right now are somewhere in the region of about 380 to 400 horsepower each. So they're good pieces of equipment. But because we are still short on cultivating, planting, we got the fertilization achievement done, but I think cultivating and fertilizing we're a little shy on. Or an Amazon delivery driver indeed. But I did some testing early on, and I found that using a power harrow or a subsoiler or a disc cultivator does not count as cultivating towards your cultivation achievement. You have to use a proper cultivator with spikes on the back. So because of that, I'm using this rather than a harrow or power harrow. I'm considering, once we've got the achievement for cultivating, I may swap this out and get a harrow. I might keep it. It's kind of cool. And it's different. It's something different to what I normally use. Case 490 Discord. Don't think I do. I really should do a case farm sometime. And a John Deere farm sometime, because I haven't done either of those. I'm still waiting for Black Sheep Modding to release his John Deere 40 series. Because I was considering using that on one of his maps. I haven't decided which one yet, but I do like Black Sheep's equipment. His maps are good, but there are a couple of things that I could complain about. I know for the the Valley of the Old Farm is his big map. He's put the wooden creaking gate sound on everything, which works for barn doors, which are made of wood and with hinges, but it doesn't sound right for metallic gates. You know, metallic gates squeak different. And it doesn't make the map bad, but you know, when you're playing with the sound up, it doesn't feel right. Looks like we missed a couple of strips of planting here, just along the right here. That looks like a missed strip rather than anything else. So it's no big deal. I wasn't planning. If I missed bits with the cedar while I was putting down oilseed radish, that wasn't a showstopper. This is effectively a very, very cheap fertilizer. Yes, and that's the complaint I've seen on his maps. I also, because I think it was Arthur said he didn't think that the Valley of the Old Farm was seasons ready. Now, if a map is not seasons ready, if it snows, you will end up with snow inside the barns. So that's the easy way to find out. Unfortunately, if you're playing with seasons, you start in early spring and then run all the way through the year to winter before you find out. So I went through to winter. I think I saved it late fall and then went through winter and I didn't get any snow. So I reloaded back to late fall and went through a second time, and eventually towards the end of winter I got some snow. And at that point I could see, yes, the map is set as seasons ready. So there's a snow mask and the snow does not fall inside the sheds. But that brings up my other gripe with his map, is unfortunately the snow mask is not... He hasn't put a lot of time into making sure the snow goes all the way up to the edge of a building. And so the result of that, we can hire a worker now. And we'll have to come back and do this patch on the left when we're done. But we're good enough. So that's the two big tractors are out. One's ploughing, one's cultivating, and we need to sell more soybeans. So yeah, whereas you look on probably something like this map, you're not going to get snow where I am right now, but you are going to end up with snow kind of up to the edge of the buildings. And with Black Sheep, he doesn't make that happen. So you end up with vast areas close to a building where there's no snow. But on the upside, because there's no snow inside the buildings either, you can store bales in them without everything getting destroyed. So, the map works well. It's just... could have done a little bit. You know, if you wanted to spend a little bit more time, you could have made it really, really nice. Like, you know, Oxygen David spends months on his maps, and it's almost like he doesn't want to release them to the public because, you know, he releases them to giants and then says, "Oh, I still need to tweak some stuff," and oh, how about plantable, cuttable hedges that he's doing on Sandy Bay, and how about this and that, and you know, he's forever modifying his maps, making them better every time. But it's sort of, dude, eventually you've got to get to the point where, what is that thing doing? Oh, good grief. Yeah, whatever. I guess we're going to have some tidying up there to do as well. But anyway, yeah, but Black Sheep does make some really nice sort of old world French farms. And I genuinely do like his maps. Another map I may be looking at is, I think it was Little Norton came up this week. Again, a very, very nice looking British map. And potential for multiplay, because it has lots and lots of really small farms. On Gut Time, that's the one map I'm playing at the moment. So yeah, hopefully over the